Hey everyone, welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC and a few other bits and bobs. So we're on dump day something. Can't remember quite what dump day we're on because it's been a few dump days. It's definitely a correction, not a liquidity grab, which makes it very hard because it's kind of hard to pick bottoms in corrections. You've got key areas and you've just really got to wait and see if the price reverses. But um, having a look at the liquidity, it's starting to sway a little bit more to the upside, but as you can see, there's still liquidity within close proximity of price. I think just jumping through the various different timeframes for liquidity, 1 day, 7 day, 30 day, it looks like the key areas to take are probably going to be about 105 and about 185, maybe 189, somewhere in there. And at this stage, that would pretty much wipe out all of the 30-day liquidity. Now, unfortunately, liquidity gets created when people try to buy these dips. And so by the time we get to these areas, maybe there will be something down here a bit lower. And it's kind of piling up to the upside, but it's really not that much. As you can see on the 30-day, even if they did a short squeeze all the way up, they'd be moving up to about 230. And on BTC, probably up to about 1900 or 119, 120 maybe. And I suppose liquidity would build as people try to protect their shorts and they add to them and all that kind of stuff. But it's not looking huge. Doesn't really look like a lot of people are chasing it, that's for sure. Looking at it from the other direction, yeah, it's been a bit of a mess. If we sort of zoom out and look at the SOL one to give you a bit of an idea, this is why you don't just buy the bottom of a liquidity chart, because as you can see, it can just keep going, and then there's a new bottom, and then there's a new bottom, and so on. And now we're down here where there really isn't even much of a bottom left anymore, but there is now because people are starting to open positions. So as people start to open these positions, if the intention is to go down and get some lower liquidity, and maybe that's where they want to open up a really big long for a move, or maybe they just want to sell, close a short or something like that. It requires people to open this liquidity kind of to bridge the gap, and then it will go through it to wherever they want to go. Eventually it'll stop and it will just move up, but you sort of want to see a fast move up, so that any of this kind of just hanging around, not going anywhere type action like what we're having at the moment typically indicates that they don't care whether you open along. In fact, they actually want you to open along, and then you become one of these lines down here, and then they go for it. So yeah, it's not looking like it's reversing at this stage, and it doesn't really make sense for it to do it yet. So okay, having a look at SOLBTC, we are under the trend. We're just dangling there now. As you can see, it's coming down underneath this origin level. So there's a slight issue with this, and that's that if it actually opens on the underside of that, which is 17933, it can just reject straight off the back of it quite violently, and then it will head down to one of the lower ones, and it could be even down in this sort of 16314 sort of area, because that would be sort of like an equivalent origin level to match that one. Whereas this higher level here, which is more like monthly support, this sort of level at 171 or 170 isn't really an origin level because it sort of just got passed through and tested and off, so it's more of a normal break level. So yeah, this could quite violently react based on where they've got it sitting now. So you really want to see it just come up a little bit before the end of the day, and then it could at least travel down. Like even if they're going to go further or dip further, traveling down from the top side of that is better for actually returning. We are going to move the trend, so that would actually be shifting over to here. So behaviorally, we're just looking to see whether or not there's a wick or no wick. And if there's no wick, then they really do intend just to have another big dump. And if it moves up, closes the trend, has a wick, then hey, they're now looking at actually not going so much further than this area. So that's pretty much what that's telling us. And if we look at the weekly, we're well and truly overextended. It sort of means that in the next 3 days, they really should be looking to bring this back up again. And monthly has hit the monthly break level now. And we were waiting all day for that basically to happen. And that's about where SOL stopped being over exaggerated to BTC. So if BTC was dumping, SOL was just absolutely going nuts and dropping further. Once it hits this sort of level on the SOLBTC chart, you get a bit of support. And now what we're actually seeing is BTC is kind of the weaker one. So having a look at our safety assets, this is not necessarily great because it's currently above the range trends. It's hit the break level. So if it closes anywhere up in that area, particularly say above 65.67%, then it's probably going to go straight up to this next weekly retest. If it was to pull back in the next 2 hours and get underneath these trends, then that would be much better and it could reject back down. And it opened on the underside of the origin level, so hopefully it could reject back down, get under there, and so on. So, but if it stays where it is, it's probably going to bounce off the top of this and shoot up, and that means you're going to have one more sort of vicious, fast dump. And weekly is just overextended. It's coming through. It's probably trying to get up here to retest these levels at 66s, 66.18, 66.89. Fingers crossed it doesn't, because that's going to be very, very, very bearish for alts, although they are looking pretty red as it is. And the monthly is doing what we talked about yesterday. It's just trying to bungee cord back up to the trend, so that's not helping alts at all. Looking at the totals, this isn't too bad. It's hit the origin support at the bottom of the range, and it's passed through. It's actually passed through 2 different levels. So as long as it closes up above these levels, that's good. It would be fantastic if it got up above that 345 area and above that trend. It'd be even better if it didn't make a hold level. All of this is actually just very bearish. Like it's creating resistance. It's below a trend. But then when you get down here, it changes slightly, because if they really wanted to just leave this range violently, they would bring it down and they'd close the candle under here. So yeah, the fact that they're sort of holding it up above there, not so bad. But hopefully they don't just push it down in the last little bit of the day. And looking at it from the other direction, we've got our origin support level down here at about 3.38, and it looks like they may close under the 3.45 break level. So if they do that, yep, that's probably now again another tap reject. So whatever algos are doing this are amazingly skilled at the best way to dump price, that's for sure. Okay. And looking at the weekly, 3 days to go. It's below the trend, but it can spike down here. It can hit. It actually hasn't hit either weekly break level yet. So this is the glimmer of hope that this is just a correction, not a bear market. And fingers crossed what happens is it comes back up there in the next 3 days. And then it was just a deviation and off it goes. And looking at the monthly is shot if it closes there. But you can kind of see you've got a break level down here. You may even get a dump next month. I mean, it really has to get up above that trend. And then you probably have a blow off top, to be honest, because you'll have a break level untested. It can't really do a test on it this month because it's not a closed accumulation candle. So yeah, so this is probably the pretty good indication that we have a blow off top coming. If we do go to a higher high, it's probably going to be the last higher high. Okay. And looking at the daily, we've broken through trend, two break levels, reverse to hold level. It's got to be one of the bearish things I've ever seen, but I guess that's what happens when you do what's been getting done. It is going to create a range trend, a reverse range trend there. So if it has a wick on that, that should initiate a move back up to that 111,952 hold. But it's got some challenges along the way because it's going to have two break levels to have to get through, which it should be able to do because they're not hard close break levels unless we spend another day under all of this. But it's that's also indicative of looking at a reversal. So it may dive through. So it may dive through the range trend, and sitting there you have what that is. Okay, so you have a weekly origin level. You have, sitting just below that, you have a daily origin level, and then just below that you have a hold, and you have a trend. So yeah, it may open up in here, dive through this to grab liquidity. And you do have levels down here at 102, etc. But it's probably, this is where, you know, if we look at this tomorrow and this has got the candle hovering under the trend or under the other trend, or worst case under any of the origin levels, that's when you know the correction has not ended and they're going to then reject and then come down to these, you know, 102, 101, 94 type levels, which are all the way down here. That's the one that, you know, that's never had a retest all the way down there at 94. If that doesn't get used in some way as part of this correction, it's just going to be one of those bouncing levels for a bear market rally at some point. Okay, so what we don't want to see on this is we don't want to see the wick completely taken out, but that'd be really hard because of the direction of the trend. Even if they try to bring it all the way down, the new candle will still open on the other side. The bounce off this could be quite bearish. I mean, if it sweeps, it's probably going to reverse and move up, and it'll probably get through the hold and keep going. But if it, because it can do that by getting above the trend and then opening the next candle on one side of the trend, using the trend to break the hold, etc. So it's probably bullish if it sweeps. It's bearish if it grinds and it sort of just hovers under the next level, because that's basically just what you've seen for the last few days, really. Grinding, hovering, dumping as soon as the next day opens. Okay, 2-day. Yep, we're just dangling from the trend. So we're not technically breaking that trend, but it's yeah, just got a good old dangle on. I mean, bullish would be if it went back up, but something tells me that it's not happening. We do have kind of, yeah, we've got a couple of levels here. We've got same origin level there at 107. We've got a supporting range at 101. We've got a well, it's kind of a backside, not a proper engulfed, but we've got a backside hold level at 96, and then down to the next trend, which is about as far as it would go, depending on how many candles it took to get there. It could be, you know, in the 90s if it did go all that way, and but hopefully it finds support on something in there first. Okay, 4-day. So 4 days hovering. It's doing that annoying thing. So basically it's sitting under that range trend. This would be a lot nicer if it, you know, just went up to 109,600 or something like that before opening the next candle. But if it stays here at 109,300, it's probably just going to reject off the backside of that and then try to push down. So we've retested. What have we got there? So we've got a range trend. Oh, we're under the range trend too. So even if it went up, it'd hit the back of the range trend and probably come down. So yeah, we've got a 104,500 hold level, and we've got an origin level. Same one that's kind of, that 107 area is really key. I know there's a lot of talk online about 105, and there's heaps of targets to go to 105 and lower, but 107 is kind of like what 75 was in the last big run up. Everyone was waiting for 69 and 68, and we had a level like this just coming across at 75. So it could just be that that's the tap and then off it goes. I mean, it could even do it in the next 2 hours, to be fair. That would be a lot more bullish if it just went down, hit it, and went up, not grinding and closing under these things and then coming down. Okay. Yep, so it's grinding on the edge of the trend. So this is an interesting one. If it opens where it opens and it's above 108,350, then it's above the break. It's not hard closed. It could dip down. You've got a front side hold level there at 93,570. So this is probably getting quite bearish, but it's real. Yeah, this could do this. But it would be a dive from the top side of the break, which allows it to have a decent chance of actually going back up. And then it could retest the backside of the trend, wherever that might be at the time. I mean, bearish to say this, but it could just stop at the trend as well. Nothing saying that this has to go over 112 before it rejects again. So that's yeah, that's what that is, I suppose. Okay, so the weekly doesn't look too bad. The weekly's holding one of the uptrends, which is good, and 3 more days to get back up. So, and if it was to dive down here and hit any of these levels, like arguably that 106 level, kind of depending on that candle, is either, no, that's under it. So that 106 level could do the retest. I mean, it may push down, tap that. It seems to just be avoiding that 108, 350 level, just sitting above it. So I think, there'll be a sweep, I imagine. It's either going to be the trend, or it's going to be the origin support levels, or it's going to be these untested break levels. It's going to do something. The lowest possible point that it would be getting magneted to right now is going to be down here at 96,455, which is the untested break level there. So I suppose you could say the lowest points are actually 82, but let's just hope it doesn't go to 82 and 88. These are actually all untested levels, but if it was to try and get this far down, it would really need to be on the other side of these trends. So I guess in 3 days' time, if this candle is sitting underneath these trends, then we know it's going deeper. Okay. And we're getting a new actually nothing's changing there. That's good. So the monthly, we really want to see it get back up above the trends by the end of the month. So that's 5 days. But if it closed like that, it's not really a big deal. It doesn't really change anything. There is a monthly hold down here at 84, but it's I suppose it's got reason to go there. It's rejected off the top side of that trend, so it may go there, but no, I don't know. It just doesn't seem likely that it's going to get through all that. It's more likely it would retest the break first and then bounce off that. So maybe that's going to come to 102,721, maybe. But, keep in mind, 84 is a real number. It's on the chart. It's a level that's going to be very attractive for any of these trend rejections. Okay, so SOL, the hot topic. It's just grinding on the edge of the trend. It's underneath the daily break level. If it gets back up above 200 by the end of the day, that might change things. But if it doesn't, it's more than likely what's going to happen is it's going to open in this tiny little wedge here, and it will probably reject off the backside of one of these break levels or off the backside of the trend. It's still under the daily downtrend. And just remember, you can't break a trend without an accumulation candle on the other side of it. So, this is bearish. There's no reason to expect this to be actually reversing. So, and where it's going to open this time, it's going to open not on the top side of the trend. So it's not like it can wick down and come back up and close. Like sometimes you see those big candles that shoot down, shoot back up again. It can't do that. So it's going to potentially do a dive. This would be about the most bullish situation, is it might do a dive from in this area in here and target, something. We have things like, 185, 177. There's other levels on other time frames. 189 is quite common, and then it's going to come back up, but it probably can't shoot back up like liquidity grabs you've sort of seen in the past. The bottom part of the move probably can. So like if it wicks down into this area here, anywhere in those sort of like 190. Anywhere sort of 191 through to 167. If it wicks down through any of that, yes, it can probably wick back up relatively quickly, but then it's probably going to have to be stuck in this area for a day, or at least a day really. It would have to come back up in the first day, get over top, and then close on the second, and then start moving up. So it does sort of fit in with the whole weekly thing. Getting it done in 3 days is possible. Getting it done in 5 days is possible. For end of month. But yeah, that's the daily. Okay. Yep. So the 2-day is yeah, this is just precision. It's hovering under 2 range trends. It really has to get above 198.9 would probably be enough. It really has to close over that if it actually wants to not be under these trends and waiting to reject. But it's interesting it's not under the origin level. So it's if it went below 195.231, that would be a more violent rejection typically. So yeah, it's kind of in a place where it looks like it wants to reject, but it's not the optimal place to do it with absolute violence. So we've got range supports that are coming through here. They're all sort of 187. We've got some really old, like a really old origin level there at 74, and we've got a hold level all the way down there at 169. So they're all possibles if it keeps on correcting. But if it does a liquidity sweep and reverses within this candle, then it's probably just going to be in this area here between where it is now and down to sort of like the 180s. Looking at the 4-day. So the 4-day is above the range support, but it looks like, it's so close to the line that at this price it's probably going to open just on the line or below it. And we have a level at 191.9 that requires a retest. There's actually a wee bit of stuff at 191.9, so that could go there. I don't know if that's where it would stop, but it's certainly a level that it surprises me it hasn't tested it already. It got very close, and then of course everything is going to be down in the 180s, like 185, etc. Got another support level there at 172. So yeah, pretty much it's everything down there. We do unfortunately also have a hold target down here at 152, but I don't think it's going to be able to get to that in this movement. But if it just keeps coming down, hovering, opening the next one, coming down, hovering, opening the next one, then yeah, that's where it's going. So okay, 67-day is not really telling us much. It's just kind of opening in between two trends. It's really not too much you can draw from that. It's not breaking the trend. That's positive. And then this is interesting. A new hold level being formed at 189. We have many at 189, 4-month chart, etc., etc. They're all around that same level. So there you go, 4-month candle, hard closed. It's just hovering over it, hasn't gone there. And so these timeframes are pretty much unencumbered, like they don't have a trend resistance. So this is the one thing that really makes it look like it is not a bear market, because it's hovering in all these bad places on the low time frame, because clearly they want to do something, which will be to go down a bit more is the most likely scenario. But it's also hovering above, creating yet again another really high time frame level. And yeah, like I said, there's multiples of this particular level across different time frames. And being unencumbered by trend, this is the kind of thing that can send it to an all-time high. So yeah, there's a little bit of positive something for the day. We still need to be over I think for the weekly, we want to be back over either this candle up here, which is about 239, or if we go into next week and the week is still down, we really want it to move up above these trends, and then we want the next week to close up to form a hold level. And the monthly, we've got 5 days to go. We really want to close over that break level. However, though, I was thinking something, and that's that if we do get another dump, a reasonable dump, and we come down to the 180s, maybe we do come back here even and hit this 178. If it closes down, there is a benefit to that, because it will create a new support trend. And the thing is, you need a wick down here, and you need the candle to be blue. So that means you got a dump. And then if it comes back up again, closes like this, gets a trend on it, because there'd be a wick, got to use a bit of imagination here, it can bounce off that and then has another option to come through here. So I know it sounds crazy, but if we get a dump and a sweep, and that's why like sweeps are positive, they have flow-on effects. If they're sweeping liquidity and reversing quickly, it's usually because they want to reverse and go the other way. So and in this case, it would create a wick on a candle if it closed blue that would actually give this the ability to have a proper arrayed monthly support trend, which actually means your monthly support is getting stronger with time. So yeah, it's and that's just a revisit of just what I had in the video from yesterday when I basically sounded like a complete bear. But yeah, guess what? It happened. So down we went. So all right, let's have a look at some of these others. Probably don't want to look at them. So I think yeah, I mean, SOE's really not that bad. So if it holds the trend for the end of the month, it should be a long. Doesn't at all look like it's suffering as bad as some others. Okay, so now we've got something. So ENA has hit the trend. Okie dokie. So if this closes the month without a hold level, because you don't want it to create a hold level that's then used to break that trend. So if it comes back up and closes without a hold level by the end of the month, then you could potentially just take the trade off the trend and move up. So, so that's looking one step closer. And what else we got? World Liberty Finance. So it did end up coming up and retesting that break. So I said yesterday you could try to take that up to there, but the risk would be that instead of doing that, what it does is it pulls down under here, closes under the underside and dumps. So it's doing both things actually. It you know, went up there, you would have got the trade, and as long as you weren't greedy and you just took your TP at the first resistance, it then rolled over and now it's down under there. So that's going to create a hold level. There isn't really much to support that, so I'd probably say that's going to go for a bit of a dive if it closes there. And ZEUS is not bad. It's moving, so it's got a range trend there, so it's going to end up probably having a little bit of a fight. So it's got a range trend, it's going to have a support trend. It could bounce off that and get up and get over the range trend. So it's going to be on the right side of the downtrend as well. So this is actually gearing up. It looks like this is getting into the right spot to, you know, have a little wick down and then a move up. So might actually get a trade on that. Looks like is that dying? It's on the origin level. So as long as Cook doesn't close under the origin level, then that's fine. I TP'd this yesterday anyway. It just looked like it was quite bearish and everything looked like you saw the video. So I thought, yeah, no, I'll just take that because it was like a nice low entry. So it's gone. Might trade it again if it comes up and gets back over the trend and starts to behave bullishly. Ooh. Hello, hype. Didn't that go well? Yeah, so never liked the look of this. I did trade it though. Like we did take that I think it was a weekly level scalp on it. And there is a hold candle on the daily down here at 38.52. It's probably going to come to that because if it closes under this 42.52 level, it's bound to reject off the backside of that range and take a further dump. And I think I've got this on the weekly, don't I? Yeah. Yeah, so it's below the weekly break level as well. I mean, if you wanted to trade it on the daily, you just have to array your trends to the daily. Let's see. Do we have a pivot point on the daily? Do now. And that is there. All right. Okay, so it's diving the trend, behaving very similar to SOL actually. Diving the trend, and it may go down to this hold level down here. And you might be able to get a trade on that. Whether it's worth it is a question. It's not a very big candle, so yeah, minimum obligations, only like a $1 move. In a normal market where they weren't trying to run the prices of everything into the dirt, then the fib candle would reject back up to the backside of the range. And in a moderately bullish market where they're diving for liquidity, because it's not hard closed, it would travel all the way up here to the backside of the trend again and to the backside of the hold level. So, you know, if things do change tomorrow, you know, you might be able to get that hold candle at 38 all the way back up here to 44. So, but just if it's still downwards push, don't try to get that much out of the trade. It'll end up being like World Liberty Finance, where it just goes to the first TP and then dies. Say died. So that's down under the trend on the monthly. So got to wait to see if that thing gets back up. And It may come down to this 21 cent area if it has a dive. If it does, that's probably worthwhile long. If it hovers under the trend after it touches the hold level, just take the profits off the TP. Might do that to monthly, so probably won't do that. Let's have a look. I think that's it. Oh, Buster. Yeah, so took a couple of scalps on this yesterday. This was nice. There is a 2-hour one in here at 1.7318, which we haven't got to yet. But yeah, we had, I think it was a 6-hour. You had this 6-hour candle up here, which did a bounce, and we had the 8-hour, which did a bounce. So there's not that much support left in this thing because it is quite new. So looks like it's tried to create some front side support there, but that hasn't made it to target. There's probably some kind of trend that got in the way called that. So yeah, there probably isn't too much to do with this now until it breaks the downtrend. But you could take a scalp on that if it comes back to there. And just move my little alert line. Okay. Yeah, that's us. So, summary version. If we get a sweep today and it starts to bounce, it probably can't bounce all the way back up just based on the structure it's created. There's too much resistance. But if it does do that sweep, then bounce back up and then start, holding accumulation candles against the trends, then maybe the day after or the one after that, yes, it could go back up. And if it doesn't do that, if it just grinds down and it just sits on those trends or just sits on those levels, those horizontal levels, and just waits to open tomorrow's candle, then guess what? It's just going to keep doing more of the same thing. That's how we differentiate. And at this stage, it looks to me like there's a really good chance of this being just a correction, and then we're going to get another push. Especially just because some of that stuff they're creating on SOL. But yeah, it's still a correction, so we don't know how deep it goes. And it could be anything from the lowest weekly hold we have is about 153 on SOL. So it could be trying to go to that. And, we've got all of those high time frame levels in that sort of 191 to 185 area. That could be it. Maybe it just goes there and no more. There is always the chance it reverses from where it's sitting now, but it's pretty slim. It's spent enough time here for people to be opening longs, and they're not gonna let you get away with that kind of thing, I don't think. All good. Catch you later. Cheers. Bye.